obviously the trade has to be funded. And so, one of the biggest problems that when we talk about T+1, we're kind of getting into the real hotspots now of the kind of key areas. And funding in FX is obviously most often cited as probably, I'd say, one of the two biggest challenges alongside sector lending, which we can come on to. But Kamal, from your perspective, where do you see the kind of the processing challenges with FX and funding?
Mani, this has been the most discussed topics as of now. It's in the T+ area, and I'm sure this is going to be discussed continuously because this is a process which has to evolve as an industry for FX and funding. Now, why it is important? Because around, if you see the numbers, around 19.6% of securities and 16% of equities are held by the investors outside US. Now, and when your transaction funding is dependent on FX settlement, and if the FX settlement doesn't occur on time, the chances your trade are going to fail are likely high. One of the main innovation that that's been brought to the FX markets in the last 20 years is the growth of the PVP settlement and increased usage of CLS platform. But still, you can see that there are challenges there around the FX settlement that still remain. That's because recently FX has been settled in T+2, and the settlement involves the trade matching, confirmation, payment, and all these need to be done within the local currency cutoff time, and not to forget the currency holidays and the liquidity factor. And on top of it, the most important is how quickly you're able to submit the instruction to CLS before the CLS cutoff time and the custodian cutoff time, in order to be ready for CLS PVP multilateral netting and to be eligible for T+1 settlement date. Now, risk of not meeting is that you are going to re-bilateralization the FX, which is going to increase your settlement risk. So the way that we are seeing is that it is kind of imperative for firms to look out for multiple models to handle the FX. A could be pre-funding. There is always a risk when you do the pre-funding, because if you are dependent on the T+2 market to pre-fund, then it means that you have to do a day before. But that is always the case to do pre-fund, and that risk is going to be there. And the second option is to execute FX on T+0 at the time of execution of the trade, or executing at T+0 4 p.m. or doing it at T+1. Now, if you see under all the models for this FX, the risk is data latency between processes and counterparties. What is needed is the ability to seamlessly process your FX instruction and the movement alongside the security instruction. And that is the key. So the funding gaps and fails can be eliminated. And our securities core back office platform, securities processing, runs in real time without the batch updates or limitations, which can help the firm fasten their FX process and whatever the model they choose. That's how it is. It has to come as an industry. So with the different models, depending on which model they choose, the system has to be good enough to adopt to that model. Then comes the question with respect to the liquidity mismatch, because it is going to be and it has always been there when it was T+3, T+2. But now why it is going to be much more critical is because there is going to be T+1 and T+2 with the time zone. Now, it is going to put huge pressure on the fund's balance sheet, as there is an increase in funding gap, because some markets might not allow overdraft or keeping a cash buffer, where there is a misalignment between a subscription redemption order which goes in a T+2 or T+3 leg, and the underlying security that if it is a basket of US underlying security, then that has to go in T+1, where the buying of the underlying securities has to be overdraft on T+1, where the proceeds from subscription redemption is going to come T+2, and the shortfall for one day has to be managed by the brokers. So what is going to happen is that there is going to be lookout for different solutions, such as broker warehousing, etc. And it's going to put pressure on the back office system to accept a variety of trading and settlement practices. So it's kind of difficult. So you can't manage what you can't measure. So the key to success here is that to have a system which is good cash flow forecasting, which is our securities processing provides, and how our clients are doing is that they are able to accurately monitor and manage their liquidity in real time. So that's how you can't stop the issue there, but you can try to solve the problem that is there, that is going to happen in your, and you can have a very good view of what is going to happen with a very good forecasting and key and alert mechanisms over there.
Yeah, no, and look, and that's such a great summary, because ultimately, as you said, for me, the key thing is that this is a complicated situation. Whereas you said you could be running multiple different FX models all at the same time. Nobody wants to pre-fund entirely, but ultimately, I mean, the real solution, is probably basically execute execute your FX as you execute the equity. But as you said, data latency is so key there, that ultimately, in a best execution world, how you can manage the whole thing without just giving everything to one broker and saying, okay, you take care of it, it's very, very difficult. So as you said, it all comes back to the same point: data latency, visibility, real-time processing. And I think if we can't get the foundation layer right, all of these problems start manifesting themselves in little ways that are ultimately going to become very problematic if we deal with them tactically.